Hi everyone, how you all doing? Hope you're staying home, staying safe, washing your hands, and looking after yourselves in these worrying times. As we find that the statistically the death rates across the planet are getting increasingly worrying and alarming and quite frankly scary vis-a-vis the COVID-19 coronavirus. Here in the UK, we had our highest number yesterday, 560 deaths in a day. May they rest in peace. Sad to hear that. And of course, we're experiencing an upward trend at the moment. And of course, that's reflected in other countries around the world as well. So the statistical aspect of what's been happening is something that I was looking into, and that's what I'm going to get into. Before I do that, make sure that you are subscribing to my channel. If you're watching this on desktop, I think down here there's a logo. If you hover over that, you find a subscribe button. And on a phone, you just, I think, scroll up and you'll see the subscribe. And once you do that, make sure you hit the bell notification so that as soon as I upload a video, you will know about it and you can see it. And also make sure that you're subscribing to all my social media channels. Just search for hashtag BrownCarGuy, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, of course browncarguy.com. Stick your email in there and you'll get notifications from there as well. So yeah, keep doing that. I'll keep posting content. So it's good to just do this, right? So a little bit of a serious one today because I was looking at the numbers and the stats. And of course, like I said, we are seeing some very alarming increases in numbers of people sadly being infected by this virus and of course losing their lives to it, including sadly some quite young people, and 13-year-old here in the UK. So much for the theory that it doesn't really affect children. By and large, it doesn't. I mean, I don't want to go into the whole, I'm not an expert on the virus, so there are better sources. I always say I'm fed up of all of these people sharing all of this stuff of so-called experts and people whose brother's aunt sister works in the NHS and saw this. Stop sharing that stuff. There are lots of official sources, government sources, and major news outlets. Go there. That's where you get the proper information. Don't circulate nonsense. I've seen quite a lot of this stuff and it really annoys me. It's just not good. It just worries people even more. Talking of worrying people, like I said, I was looking at the stats, and one thing that occurred to me is that, of course, now that these cities, in fact, a quarter of the world is in lockdown right now. We're in lockdown right now. And one of the side effects of that, of course, is that there's a lot less movement of people. That means there's a lot less stress on the transport structures, infrastructures and transport systems of a city, a country, etc. In fact, one of the byproducts of that is that road traffic has dropped by 70% around, for example, here in the UK. So that got me thinking. Last year in the UK, well actually the year 2018 to 2019, so up to the end of June 2019, in the UK, 1,870 deaths were recorded because of road traffic incidents. That's out of a total of 27,820 people that were killed or seriously injured, again, because of road traffic accidents. But I'm going to focus on the deaths, which was 1,870. So in terms of deaths, you can work that out over the course of a year. Say that's 5 people that sadly lose their lives per day in the course of a year. So say that most of these lockdowns, as we've seen, anecdotal evidence from China, and of course now from Italy and Spain, where we're seeing this similar period of time, and probably will have the minimum the same here, about 2 months lockdown. If you work that out from 5 a day, working out over 2 months, my maths is not great. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong with any of this, but basically my basic maths has told me that you would over the course of 2 months, losing 5 a day, you lose 300 people. So say 70% reduction in that because the traffic is reduced, and actually you would save 210 lives. So that sounds like a bit of a silver lining, doesn't it? But having said that, in the UK we've lost 2,352 people so far to this virus. I don't have today's figures. By the way, today is 2nd of April. I'm recording this around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And as I said, those figures were true as of yesterday. 2,352, 560 people yesterday. I don't have today's figures. I'm dreading to see them. They're talking about the fact that we will soon be seeing up to a regular incidence of 1,000 deaths a day. God Almighty, I shudder at that thought. But that's what we're talking about. So in the context of that, the 210 that potentially we save over 2 months doesn't sound like a lot. But let's take a bigger picture look. Let's look at global numbers. So approximately 1.35 million people die in road crashes every year across the globe. So that's 3,700 people per day. In fact, they say that it's the leading cause of death amongst 5 to 29-year-olds. The leading cause of death. Wow. Gosh. So again, a quarter of the world is in lockdown. So again, my maths is terrible. If you can do this better, please do put it in the comments below. But from what I can figure out, we take that 3,700 figure, take out 25% of it, multiply that by 2 months, and then extract 70% of that because 70% less traffic. Again, you know, there would be different circumstances in different countries. Some places are more dense, some places are less, some places have more accidents, some places have less. But, you know, this is an approximation, averaging out sort of figure. And we end up with potentially 38,850 people saved over 2 months of lockdown because of coronavirus, because of less traffic out there. So that's a fairly impressive number. But then you put that against the backdrop of 1 million coronavirus cases. Pretty much today, I think we're going to hit 1 million coronavirus cases across the world. And in terms of deaths, that's very sadly 48,553. Sadly, people have lost their lives across the globe so far, according to stats due to coronavirus. So that's 10,000 more than the figure I've just come up with for people saved in road traffic accidents. So again, a little bit of a silver lining, a little bit of an offset, if we can be cruel and crude enough to talk about it in those terms, but not that substantial. However, there is another thing. And one of the things that interested me is that it's estimated that air pollution, most of which is caused by road traffic in cities, is responsible for 40,000 deaths per year. Now, it's already recorded that air pollution in the UK cities is considerably down during this lockdown. This has already happened. We've only been in lockdown for like 10 days, and this has already happened. In other parts of the world, there's satellite imagery that clearly indicates that there's significant reductions in concentrations of pollutant nitrogen in China and in northern Italy, where the lockdown has been in force for quite a while. Now, I can't really figure out how to work out the numbers from that because I just don't know the maths. And of course, the effect of pollution is longer term, but clearly there will be some impact. According to German researchers, as many as 8.8 million deaths per year globally are due to dirty air. That's more than the number of people killed by smoking, which is 7.2. And out of the 8.8 million, 790,000 of those died in Europe. And again, that is from pollution, mostly from road traffic. I mean, some of that comes from factories and power plants too, but cities are said to be the major source of microscopic PM 2.5 particles, which contain heavy metals and other fuel chemicals, which are, you know, we're microscopic by our standards, but big enough to lodge themselves in the lungs and enter the bloodstream, which then causes things like heart attacks, strokes, and asthma, sadly. So again, what I'll do is I'll put the links to some of the sources I've used for this piece below in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. So the cleverest mathematicians and statisticians out there that are better at this stuff can probably look at that, and maybe in the comments they tell me what I've got right, what I've got wrong, or if they can figure out how many people might be saved due to lesser pollution in the world because of these lockdowns. Overall, though, I gotta say, these are pretty sobering thoughts for a car guy, you know, and, you know, one of the things that occurred to me is I promise, after all this has ended, to look more carefully at zero and low emission vehicles and alternative fuel emission vehicles, you know, despite my love and predilection for powerful and performance cars. But really, when you think about the amount of trauma and sadness and death that is caused by just road traffic accidents and road traffic pollutions, definitely we need to do something about that, just as much as we are wholeheartedly attacking the pandemic spread of the coronavirus. So environment, traffic, all of these things are worth looking at. I think this is a time for all of us to think about these things and reflect, and hopefully maybe the real silver lining is that we will emerge more thoughtful, more considerate, and more open-minded at the end of all of this. Stay safe, stay well, stay tuned, more coming soon. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.